Okay, we really need to talk about the latest balance changes for Shinobi Striker, man. The devs are definitely out there making moves. Not always the right ones, but we'll get to that. They absolutely brought some exciting changes that will drastically change the format in certain areas, so we have to get you guys prepared for these Shinobi streets out there, man. But as cool as some of these changes are, they also messed up in other areas. For example, they rebalanced teleportation jutsu. It now buffs your close range attack power instead of your ninjutsu damage, which is more useful for attack types, so overall it's pretty much just a buff for a jutsu that already has been one of the best in the game. And not only that, there is also an annoying invincibility glitch with it that people are abusing online. There are some counters, Zeno Martinez listed some of them in the video, so you're gonna find a link to that in the video description. But it's just stupidly broken, okay? They obviously gonna try and fix that issue as soon as they can, we'll just have to wait. The Wind-style Rasen Shuriken now has increased speed and tracking, it is executed faster and can be cancelled earlier now if used on the ground. And yeah, they also specifically listed that, so there you have your proof that animation cancels are indeed intended and obviously advised to utilize. And especially executing it faster and being able to cancel out of it faster are such good changes. These buffs are so nice, man. And it is just such an amazing and underrated jutsu. People usually just don't have the awareness and the skill to fully utilize it, but the burst damage is insane. It can be used from a range too if you're smart about it and use it on unaware targets, from above maybe, on enemy players that are in a teammate's combo, or that are held in place by executing their own combos or jutsus or whatever. It has that AoE to it when you land it, anti-heal, a big defense drop, and there are also a lot of ways how you can actually multi-hit targets with your Rasen Shuriken, and that's pretty much always a guaranteed one-shot. It counters moves like Sand Shield, Water Pillar, Needle Jizu, even Truth-Seeking Orbs. It's also really easy to follow up on it and capitalize on that defense drop, especially after those buffs now. It's just one of the deadliest moves in the whole game. They lowered the cooldown of Truth-Seeking Scourge and increased the cooldown of Dynamic Entry, and I think both of these changes make perfect sense. The 8 Inner Gates Formation Secret Technique now grants a bigger attack buff, and Barrier Mode now grants a bigger buff to attack speed and evasion range, while also allowing you to cancel out of the kick earlier, which makes it easier to follow up on it. Not gonna lie, the Secret Technique just feels so awesome right now. Like, look at the movement, the DPS, it really feels just as impactful as it was in the show. By the way, a little tip on the side, there are a few things like Glimmering Flames for example, that can counter Barrier Mode, that will be able to stun them, but they won't lose the super armor. So even if you hit them, it won't break the stun and you can just finish them off for free. Flame Lightning does less damage with the initial hit, the 100 Puppet Secret Technique got its cooldown reduced, Steam Imp clones will blow up faster than before, and the Fire-style Giant Flame Bomb now buffs the damage of all your Fire-style ninjutsu for a certain period of time after its activation. And you already know it, guys, I love these kind of changes. Those elemental buffs, that little bit of extra synergy for those feed builds, you know. It's cool, I like what they're doing here. The buff even stacks with things like Chikashodo. So you could, for example, after using the Secret Technique, pop Chikashodo and then just one-shot a full life defense type with Majestic Destroyer Flame for a free follow-up kill, or do something like Phoenix Flower into a charge attack to block their sub and then do a little bit of a combo, finish off with another Fire-style move, you know, rocking these Fire-style builds with that nice bit of extra synergy. And you can even deal more damage than I did in those clips, because I didn't even go with the Black Crane or the Murakumo outfit or anything, since not everybody will have those. Oh yeah, and they also increased the charge rate of that Secret Technique as well. I almost forgot about that because I was so excited about that whole elemental buff thing. But yeah, also charges faster now. Demon Hunter deals more damage now, and since it heals you based on the damage you dealt with the jutsu, that also means you will get more health back from it. Kamui Climax went up all the way to a 21-second cooldown. Water Prison as well as Water Prison Rosary Bondage both got their damage increased, and the Bomb Blast Dance Secret Technique charges faster now, and you can't sub out of it anymore. That's really a great change, to be honest, not making it broken by any means, but just a lot better than it was before. Actually really fun to use now. A close range attack power buff was added to the Strength of 100 Heartlight Jutsu for the heal class, and I'm not gonna lie, this jutsu always has been massively underrated. It received several buffs in the past that just made it better and better, and now it's at a point where it acts as an additional 18-second cooldown sub that gets enemies off of you, restores some health, grants super armor, lowers your received damage, and increases your melee damage. Not only has this jutsu a whole lot of utility and makes you extremely tanky, it also is a very strong jutsu offensively. So, I don't know man, what else do you really want, yeah? That's like a mini ultimate basically. And let's say you run decreased jutsu cooldown and then pair it with the Unbending Will accessory perk. You can just put on something like Hard Light and Palm Sage, or Hard Light and Cellular Activation, with maybe even a Master of Medicine pill or a Super Tough Medicine, and basically every time you get low, you get the cooldown reduced from Unbending Will and can just push enemies away and heal back to full. Every goddamn time. It's pretty much a get out of jail free card. It's so good for Black Crane builds, for Juggernaut builds using the Blue Flash bottom, for any combat medic build really. It's great. The debuff of Insect Jamming technique can no longer be removed with moves like Cellular Extraction that remove negative status ailments, and honestly, that was its biggest weakness, so that's a huge buff, and it's really one of the best secret techniques for 4v4 matches, trust me guys. Izanami got its cooldown increased, fair enough, it's one of the, if not the strongest secret technique in the game, so I guess that's fair. And Vapor Fog now slows enemies, which is nice, but unlike Insect Jamming, you can still just counter it with any move that removes status ailments. The Inferno Sword Heavy has a way shorter hit stun now, and it also takes longer for you to be able to cancel out of it, so no combo resets or infinite combos with that heavy attack anymore. They cannot be used as a startup anymore either. Lower fire rate obviously due to the change with the cancel, so the heavies are not really usable for combos like that anymore. More just for like interruption and a bit of chip damage on range. Like you would use a Kusanagi Heavy for example. Just bigger area, piercing, higher priority and some burn damage. So don't get me wrong, the Heavy is not terrible now. And you theoretically still have the Light Heavy cancel and the full Ground Light into charge attack that can combo reset. But the first one's inconsistent, and the second one is almost impossible to time right without bonus attack speed or attack tracking, so really a giant nerf. You can think about that what you want. I personally am not a fan of nerfing things more than you need to. And from how I see it, for what they were trying to accomplish, it would have been totally enough to just slightly reduce the stun duration of the heavy attack, just so it doesn't reset combo counter on its own anymore. Then you could still use them as an opening. But the thing that has been so frustrating to a big part of the player base would still have been taken care of. They also finally removed the instant pitfall from the Hanzo Sickle by adjusting the motion the enemies take when getting hit by the aerial heavy. That's obviously a good change, and I was telling them to do that since the weapon came out, but they kinda messed it up. Because now the hit stun of the aerial heavy is so short that you can't even convert off of it. You can't just heavy into a double air light and then start your combo or anything. It's literally just, you pull them and they can block or hit you right in the face. That aerial heavy is completely useless now. They should have just made it to where you can at least connect after it. Like, give it the same hit stun people have when getting hit by Glimmering Flames midair. Or even just a normal drop down. Why always overcompensate so drastically that you mess up entire combo strings? Just like with the Chroma Claw. On that one they reduced the size of the hitbox of its aerial heavy, and the weapon didn't need another nerf. It was totally fine after the first one, pretty much middle of the pack. But fair enough, the hitbox was huge, reduce it a bit if you want to, but what they did is reduce the size of it so much that the whole combo string is not working anymore. Enemies will just fall out of it after like 2 hits, the charge attack sucks too, so now you are stuck with a heavily ground-based weapon that has no reliable way to get enemies to the ground without filling the combo counter too much. Basically, unless you specifically use a move to get them to the ground, or your enemy is just glued to the ground all the time, which, guess what, 99% of the time, he isn't. Your only real option is doing short bursts of damage with the aerial light ender, or maybe the triple air light. Wow. And the aerial heavy not connecting also means that the double aerial heavy can't be used anymore either. Yeah, they would work on the ground, but on the ground you'd have your ground heavies that are way better, so yeah, you just completely messed up, and the weapon now is literally the weakest attack weapon in the game, and it's just so unnecessary because, as I said, it didn't even need that second nerf to begin with. It was by no means a problematic weapon anymore after that first nerf. And don't even try to have that discussion with me. Yeah, I can already see you type in the comments, okay? But let me tell you, whether you think it would have deserved a second nerf or not, doesn't even matter. At a point where half your aerial strings are not even working, yeah? If the combo strings are literally not connecting, They don't work. You can't use them. Yeah, that's not status quo, okay? That has nothing to do with proper game design. They messed up the weapon, it's factually broken, they need to fix it. They also changed the hit stun animation for the Valiant Threat's aerial heavy, so it doesn't pitfall anymore. Obviously that change was very needed, and you now also can't cancel out of it after the first part anymore, which I guess makes sense, since the aerial heavy into Obo was pretty toxic. But to be honest, that was partially also due to the fact that you can't sub or block the first part of the aerial heavy, and it on top of that also counter super armor and even Susanoo armor. Why does it need to be an unsubbable, unblockable attack that, again, counters super armor and entire jutsus? Like, what the frick? Who asked for that? I don't know, man. Before I'd remove that cancel, I'd maybe think about addressing those things, right? By the way, guys, if you want them to fix the Hanzo Sickle and Kurama Claw, they are not gonna go out there and watch any videos on their game or anything, but Basimus actually made a video on how you can contact them per mail, and that's where they actually listen to feedback. So I'ma link that video in the description, and if you could just tell them that these combo strings are not working anymore now, and maybe just link them my video, I am very certain that they will fix that. Anyways guys, that's it with the last balance patch. There are still a couple more old balance patches that I didn't manage to cover in time, and I planned on still doing them. But honestly, things like the Sasori update, for example, are so far in the past. Does that even still make sense? I think y'all are better off if I put my time into other things for now. I think if I ever decide to cover them just to have it complete, then I'ma just, quickly talk over it, get my points across, and just drop it like that without much editing or really recording anything for it, just for the people that may still want that information. But what are your thoughts on these changes? What do you think they're gonna do in the next balance patch? Let me know in the comments. Peace out, and never forget, if it has a health bar, it has to die.